Hello guys, this is Matrix Ray, and I'm showing you some resolution comparisons between native 1440p versus native PS2. I will also be doing some frame rate testing and show you guys the best settings for black. We are using large frame buffer, a custom resolution of 2560 by 1440p native, 16 times anisotropic filtering, bitmapping is on automatic default, CRC hack level is full direct 3D recommended, and we are using nothing in here. I will get back to this section though real quick. We are using texture filtering of display and FXAA shader. Now, this game has some flaws, like a lot of them. With this emulator I'm using, December 2017, it's my newest one I just grabbed recently, MSAA and the resolution I selected, which is the custom resolution, doesn't seem to work as intended, unfortunately. Now, just keep in mind, if you are using 16 times MSAA on this game, on a working emulator, MSAA doesn't seem to work at all, even at 2 times, 4 times, 8 times, doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't work. But if you do download an emulator that get it to work, in this case mine's broken, so I'm not going to use it. 16 times MSAA at 1440p costs 2.3 gigabytes of video RAM, so it's a little demanding kind of. We are using bilinear forced as well, and we're using Direct3D 11. OpenGL is recommended for this game, but I'm going to use Direct3D 11 in this case. Now, this game is extremely demanding CPU wise, so I would definitely recommend you guys turning on the MTVU hack. If you have more than 3 cores, I have 6 cores, I would definitely turn it on no matter what. The game's otherwise unplayable without it. Let's check out the dimensions. Now, this game targets 640 by 448. Let's have a look at this. Now, this game also targets 30 frames per second. And surprisingly, it says 30 frames for some reason, but oh, that's because of the slowdown, never mind. But yeah, this game, as I said, is very, very CPU intensive. Now, as you see, on software mode, everything is emulated correctly. And the reason why I'm saying that is in hardware mode, it doesn't work at all. It doesn't look like the same game, it just looks like a ordinary shooter on hardware mode, but I'll show you what I mean shortly. Now, if you look at the fence, there's a lot of jaggies, a lot of slowdown as well, and the lighting is definitely correct. In hardware mode, it doesn't seem to work. If you look up here, obviously it speeds up. As I mentioned, game targets 30 frames per second, and it's not really healthy to see a game run slow at 30 FPS, but anyway, let's have a look at native 1440p. Now, it's native 1440p, which in this case, as I said, doesn't work. It looks a lot better. It looks around like 1200p, 1300p, looks like around there, but anyway, we're not going to worry about that. Here's a good example of what native PS2 looks like compared to the higher resolution I'm upscaling it to. Now, as you see with my mouse, my cursor, as you see, there are some broken sprites right here above the health HUD when upscaling to a higher resolution. Also, I'm using bilinear PS2. I forgot if I mentioned that already, but you need to use bilinear PS2 or otherwise the health HUDs remain blocky. Also, the text HUDs here remain blocky as well if you have bilinear PS2 on. Bilinear forced makes it work and filters it a lot better. It still remains a little blocky even at a high resolution, but that's okay. Now, and in hardware mode, on my CPU I use, which is clocked at 3.3 GHz, that's the base clock by the way, you can see that I'm losing 20 frames on the top left corner of the screen, which is unfortunate for a 30 FPS game. Now, as I said, at 1440p, all the original elements are completely gone. So here's native PS2 with all the lighting and all the original black, aesthetic to it, the elements to that this game has, like all the lighting and the shaders to this game. But if I flick back to this, it just looks a lot different. It doesn't even look like the same game, unfortunately. Even the depth of field for when you reload is actually gone as well. If I even know how to reload, there we go. Yeah, see, the depth of field is gone. But if I flick back to here and reload again, as you see, it blurs off the background. But if I go back here, it's obviously eliminated. Now, I have this game at 16 times anisotropic filtering. It does work, which is quite surprisingly, because the custom resolution doesn't seem to work. It does start to shimmer back here, that's because of the low pixel count density, but it does work, which is good. Now, keep in mind, if you are willing to play this game on the PCSX2, if you turn on the allow 8-bit texture, I'll just show you guys real quick for people that don't know where it is. if you turn on allow 8-bit texture, this actually saves you about 4 to 5 frames. So as you guys see right here, it is 36 frames here, or 50. Here's a more accurate count right there. So let's turn on allow 8-bit texture. Now as you see, it's about 50, 60. That's what it says. It's not actually 60 frames, it's just the game sped up, which is good. So now it's pretty much normal, or close to normal speed. Now keep in mind, with allow 8-bit texture, you can see all the shimmering on the ground. The further the distance you are viewing at an oblique angle, the more shimmery it is, the more jaggies there is on the ground, and it's all right there, unfortunately, with allow 8-bit texture. But if you guys don't worry about that, and just play the game how it is, you can actually save 4 to 5 frames with allow 8-bit texture. Now I had to point all this out because this game is demanding and not really well optimized on the PCSX2. Another thing is as well, as that if you load into a level, the sky is completely broken. If you switch to software mode in the loading screen and then load into the level, flick back to hardware mode, the skies work perfectly fine. So that's pretty much everything you need to know about this game. It did take a bit of explaining, unfortunately, but that's pretty much about it. If you have over 3.3 gigahertz or more, which is what I have, you can run the game at 30 FPS quite fine. I do not recommend lower than what I've got in my core clock speed. Don't recommend it at all. So just keep in mind you have a good computer for this game, or otherwise play this on the Xbox One or Xbox One X, because they've got that backwards compatible now, and it's working at full speed, so that's good. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. See you later.